Did you know fishing reels can look exactly the same, but the inside gear ratio can be different? Let's talk about gear ratios for bass fishing. Welcome back to the Googan Lab, everybody. So fishing reels, we're going to talk about bait casters in specific. They have different gear ratios, and that is designed to have more torque on a low end and speed on the high end. And really what you're getting out of gear ratios is the ability to slow a bait down or really fish at a higher rate of speed. It gives you that ability to do. So the lower gear ratios are becoming less popular as higher gear ratios come into new and newer fishing reels. And higher speed just allows you to fish a bait in a lot faster, but that can be a bad thing sometimes. Sometimes you want to slow down, sometimes you need more torque. And that's where your old at the 5-8 to 1, 5-3 to 1 gear ratios sometimes come into play into bass fishing. Now, me personally, I think that starting at like a 6.2, 6.3 is pretty slow. That's slow for me now. But those slower gear ratios you can use in colder months, let's say the winter and early spring when you're fishing crankbaits and spinner baits or big things like throwing an umbrella rig out in deep water, and you need that torque and you need that real slow presentation. It helps you, the angler, slow down because some of us have a hard time slowing down. We're ADD. So the other one that I like to go to for most of my moving baits when the water starts warming up, 50s, 60s, and just a overall general good gear ratio is a 7.2 to 1. That used to be really high speed, but now that is like a very, very average speed that you can fish your spinner baits with, and your lipless crankbaits, your small Texas rigs, jigs, things like that, weightless baits as well. And then your higher speed gear ratios, that really comes into play for throwing things that you want to get back in really, really fast. So if you're doing pitching, if you're doing flipping, you can bring that bait in super quick and you can catch up to a fish really fast. I prefer a high speed gear ratio reel like an 8.2 to 1. They even make them higher now, but for that you can just get your bait in really quick and catch up to that fish. Because sometimes what a fish does on a plastic worm, it'll bite it and it'll swim towards you and you won't even know it. You start reeling down towards the fish and you have slack in your line. So you lose a lot of fish that way with slower gear ratio reels, but they are still advantageous for throwing your crankbaits and just general moving baits. So those are the three styles of gear ratios. You can play around with them and really dial in which one works for you best and the way you like to fish, but there are advantages to both. So thanks for tuning in for this tip on the Googan Lab. We'll see you next time.